The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all. Orale, viva la raza, we bowdy and rowdy.
I have watched so much 2000 WCW that if I never heard that series of phrases again, it would be too soon.
How about this one? Aye. Her name was Stephanie McMahon Helmsley.
Oi.
All right, we are the IndySiders. I am the Heartbreak Kid, Mark Radulich. That over there is too sweet. That is Big Sexy Harry Broadhurst. And tonight, our Indy Spotlight, we are getting in the Wayback Machine. How far back? Way back. We're talking the Era of Honor 2002. That'll come up later in the show. We are going to take a brief look at the Survivor Series War Games and Full Gear, and we will talk about the last lap of John Cena's retirement tour.
Actually, there was one major piece of news this week in wrestling that I wanted to spring on you, and I just wanted to get your immediate off-the-cuff response to it. Your thoughts on TNA getting a new television deal here in the U.S. with AMC?
You know, the Oakland Raiders have wandered around the Pacific Northwest an awful lot. Vegas, Oakland, Los Angeles.
Oakland, Los Angeles. They ping-ponged.
Yeah. So that's kind of my response to that. I think that, it's funny. The UFC is moving to Paramount Plus.
Correct.
The pay-per-view era seems to be over now, and because the long tail of television is infinite, and so we've subdivided again into like micro niches. But the things that draw the most eyeballs are live sports, which is why NFL, NCAA, WNBA for what that's worth, NBA, NHL, wrestling,
MLB,
yeah, all of it. It's big money now to air those games because it's about the only thing that's drawing a significant crowd. So, am I surprised that TNA landed? Because, like, if you're a television executive, you're just trying to find something available that can draw a live audience. And somebody probably said in a meeting somewhere, "Hey, Netflix has pro wrestling. ESPN has." I can't keep up anymore. Pro wrestling
has kind of. It's on the app, but
yeah. We should probably get in on this. And then they looked around and said, "Well, what's available?" Well, there's AEW, but they're owned and operated by Time Warner Pornhub, which is about to become part of Paramount or Netflix. So they were like, "All right, well, what else is out there?" And someone pointed at the rotting husk that is TNA. So my response to you is I'm not surprised, but I don't think it's going to move the needle. TNA has a built-in audience of loyalists and nerds, but I repeat myself. I'm sure they'll go wherever the product is, but here's the other side of that, and the last thing I'm going to say. Tonight, I bet on Jonkic from the Denver Nuggets to hit over his assists, rebounds, and points, and that the Denver Nuggets would beat the who the fuck were they playing? Whoever they were playing tonight by more than I think like 8 points. They did. They fucking slaughtered them. But I couldn't watch that game because it's on fucking League Pass. I have Fubo. And I have cable and I have ESPN. And yet I still couldn't watch the stupid game, which makes me like. So I ended up watching the Magic lose within seconds to the San Antonio Spurs. And people watching are like, "Is he ever going to talk about wrestling?" I am talking about wrestling. Barrier to entry, ease of being able to find. Having to pay for another subscription service is going to depress views, not increase it. If you can't watch TNA for free now or in the future, you're just not going to watch. It's not that big of a draw that people are going to spend money on this, and the ones that do are such a small fragment of people out there. It's insignificant. So, I mean, I hope it works out for them. I hope it's better than the bleak picture that I'm painting, but I highly doubt it, and I have history on my side.
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with you here in regards to TNA being able to be viewed by more people now. And the reason I'm going to say that is because AMC is available in more homes than TNT and TBS are.
That was your fucking takeaway? Sorry, go ahead. Wow, you're really delayed again tonight.
My takeaway is this is actually a good thing for... boy, here we go. We're starting early. All right, I'm going to reset why I let him respond to this here. But real quick, what I'm going to say is I think that this is a good thing for TNA. And the reason I'm going to say I think this is a good thing for TNA is because they're going from a station, Access TV, which had basically no reach whatsoever, to one of the most in-home cable networks there is in American Movie Classics, AMC. So I think that this is going to be excellent for the product in the fact that they're going to be available in so many more homes than they were, that the numbers for their weekly episodes of Impact, and if the specials end up moving to AMC Plus, then so be it. But the weekly numbers for Impact, at the very least, should see a significant increase.
Maybe. I would question. Hi, Puzzler. Whoever you are. What are we yapping about? Well, we're supposed to be talking about Survivor Series and then Full Gear and then Ring of Honor, but he wanted to bring up, and he'll be back in a minute, his cable connection is two squirrels trying to have sex to stay connected. But he brought up that TNA got a deal with AMC for broadcast rights, and my argument is that when you move the shit around, it's harder to find people. I look at like the old days of television, and this will be the last thing I say on this, so we can move on. But I look at the old days of television. Cheers was 8:00 on a Thursday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they move Cheers to like Sundays at 8, people didn't follow Cheers necessarily. Typically speaking, if you look at like industry numbers, moving a show hurt it more than helped it. The theory was that if they moved it to a different time, it might do better. That wasn't always the case, and many times it wasn't. Generally speaking, moving around was the death knell of things. I would tell you that I hear what you're saying of that it's AMC is more available, people watch it, but people watch it for, if they're watching it at all these days, it's really hard to tell what people's television habits are.
Fair.
Given how things are right now. But I would tell you that people watch AMC for prestige television. So let's say you're watching whatever the equivalent these days is of Breaking Bad,
mm-hmm.
and you see a commercial for TNA, there might be some overlap, but not enough to really make a difference. I mean, like I said, I think the people at AMC were like, what is out there, how can we get on this live sports thing, and took the first thing they could find that was that was in their price range.
And
Will I think that helped TNA? Not really.
Well, I also think that TKO probably had a hand in negotiating this for TNA as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, Harry, you got to understand, everybody is the opposite of you. You are really into wrestling and you follow this stuff and you have a lot of detail-oriented insight, which is great. Most of the world doesn't. Most of the world thinks all wrestling is WWE.
I'll agree with that.
So TKO may have gone fishing for a network to pick up TNA, and sorry, we're getting a lot of comments. So YouTube changed the way that they do the videos now. So we're streaming to like the shorts as well as the regular video feed. So we're getting a lot of comments on the shorts here. It's really it's fun. There's a guy who's like giving us a lot of comments right now.
Hello, viewers.
Hey, hi. Just to finish this up, and then I'll address the comments, and we can move on. Here's the deal. When TKO was looking for a network to stream TNA, I guarantee you the conversation was what wrestling is out there, who's interested in live sports. And they aren't looking at what TNA is. There's not a conversation of like the vast and the sundry history of TNA and its various places it was broadcast. No one's looking at footage of Cadillac Jones. Yes, of all the TNA memories I could have pulled, that's the one I go with, because I still have that damn theme in my head. It's the Cadillac Jones. It's the Cadillac Jones.
Oh, you mean Pac-Man Jones?
Pac-Man Jones, yeah. I thought he was Cadillac. That doesn't matter.
No, Adam Pac-Man Jones, the former football player.
Yeah, Pac-Man Jones. Why did I think Cadillac? Who am I thinking of?
There was actually a running back in the NFL called Cadillac Brown, so you might have confused the two.
It's entirely possible. I am old. So, all right.
You are.
So this guy, I don't know if he's still watching, but on a real note, do you fuck with 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I reviewed that way years ago. It's in our archive. We did the entirety of those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. This is what I was laughing at. Not gonna lie, y'all are the only ones are generally having a conversation. Every other video is straight up spam. I fucking believe you.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You know what? They're like still minors. Yeah. All right. Let's get into Survivor Series. Yeah. I did not watch
real
this.
Quick.
I was dragged by my girlfriend with my children to Gainesville to see the FSU Florida game, where Florida fucking beat the piss out of FSU. So, Terry, why don't you tell us your thoughts on Survivor Series War Games?
Okay, we need the William Regal soundbite because we can't do that justice. And Albert appreciates the fact that you were at the swamp.
Wonderful.
But so War Games was. I was talking to my buddy Jason about this, and I think that we've come up with a theory as far as War Games goes.
An Austin theory.
We'll get to that. I think War Games has reached the point of diminishing returns.
Yeah, like everything else in WWE. That's why I'm upset that I missed it.
What I mean by that is the fact that you constantly have two of these matches every year. Mm-hmm. None of them feel different anymore. None of them feel special. None of them feel unique. None of them feel original like the original concept of War Games in WCW did. In WCW, War Games was a feud ender, a blow off, a go home, a we're fucking done with y'all. Let's move on. In WWE, WWF, WWE, call it whatever you want to, wrestling, in this particular genre of wrestling here, War Games feels like it's another Saturday pay-per-view. This one has a stipulation.
First, let me say hello to Chuddy.
What up?
Live comments are fun.
Yo.
So listen, I already know what you're going to say. Because I've been saying it already. I fucking said this, Harry. I've been saying this for years now. When they went to... What year, you're the historian, what year was it they made the autistic decision to start naming pay-per-views after gimmicks?
Well, originally the trend started by making Money in the Bank its own pay-per-view.
Right. So we had something that was the finale of a Money in the Bank was the finale of a long-running story that involved like 8 different guys, and it was like, well, we're gonna finally fucking settle this in a giant fuck all land on your head match, and it was great. And then they were like, well, people like to see guys land on their heads so much, we'll give it its own pay-per-view. And they did the same thing with Hell in the Cell, which was things are so bad between 2 wrestlers. It's so like if you think about the like
the original history of Hell in a Cell.
I'm going to walk you through this really quick. So Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker,
yes,
their feud is so violent and so out of control in 1996, I think it was, or
97.
97. It's so bad that, like, in the pay-per-view prior, and I think it was the September pay-per-view,
Ground Zero,
it had gotten so out of hand. Like a cameraman got hit. Like they were trying to pull them apart. Like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels were trying to kill each other. And they were like, okay, well, we can't hurt the staff anymore. You people are out of control. We have to contain you somehow. And they put them in the Hell in the Cell. And then memorably, that's where Kane rips the door off. And like, so this thing that's supposed to contain these 2 idiots not only doesn't contain them, but a guy breaks in and kills the Undertaker. It's great. Mick Foley and the Undertaker. What more needs to be said about that match in 1998, except, Mick Foley's need to fucking outdo Shawn Michaels, so he tried to kill himself. Poor
twice.
Undertaker. Poor Undertaker. Like, Mick, why do you want to do this? But again, going all the way back to like the Boiler Room Brawl and Mankind and the Undertaker, those 2 also were trying to kill each other. And it was like, well, what are we going to do? Like, what more can we do to finally put an end to this blood feud between the 2 of you? Okay, we'll put you in the Hell of the Cell, and we'll immediately throw Mick Foley off of it. Wonderful. The next time we see this thing that matters, because I'm not counting the Kennel from Hell, or Boss Man and the Undertaker where they hung the Boss Man. The next time this matters is yet another blood feud.
Foley and Triple H in 2000.
Mick Foley and Triple H had been trying to kill each other for months, going all the way back to, again, 97, where Mick Foley started doing the 3 Faces of Foley thing, and he comes out as Cactus Jack in the Garden. And Triple H, in the best performance he'll ever give, shits his pants. You think about like what the Hell in the Cell represented back then, and to what it's become now. When they started, I don't even care if they started doing it like more often. They started using it a little too much. Like, you can still kind of sell, like, all right, Kevin Nash and Triple H are Triple H. The Hell in the Cell kind of became Triple H's thing along with the Sledgehammer. When they made it its own pay-per-view, it stopped being a match that needs a gimmick and became a gimmick that needs a match.
And what I was going to say,
killed the fucking gimmick.
And what I was going to say to that is, I think Money in the Bank could sustain itself as its own pay-per-view because of the idea of the stakes of Money in the Bank. It becomes like the Royal Rumble. Yeah, exactly. Something like Hell in a Cell, something like Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. It did not need to be its own pay-per-view. It needed to be saved for those special occasions. Let
me tell you something, Harry. When they fucking named that December pay-per-view Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, I laughed my ass off, not in a good way. I was like, what's the next one? Body Slam? What's the next one? Suplex? What's the next one? Falls Count Anywhere? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, do you remember that Fatal 4-Way shit back in 2010? Like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? And my point being is exactly what you said there. It's when you have a concept where the name of the match becomes the name of the pay-per-view. It's a match it's a pay-per-view that needs a match, not a match that needs a pay-per-view stipulation.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with the current war game setup in the WWE. Don't get me wrong. I will always and forever love hearing William Regal scream, "War games!"
Here's the thing. So 2 things. One, when he did that, it was for the girls, and it was because all 8 girls were trying to murder each other in NXT.
Correct.
They were all hot, and I don't mean pretty, but they were. They were all they were the hottest act going in NXT at the time, and just like Money in the Bank, they all had a story with each other, and William Regal had been for weeks trying to separate them and get order, and he finally fucking basically he was just like, if all you bitches are gonna try to murder each other and wreck my show, I'm gonna put you in a cage and let you murder each other. How does that sound, you whores? What are you doing?
I'm here in Vancouver because today is War Games.
Okay, thank you. So, but that was it. Like
I had to bring in the OG.
You had to understand, they weren't just doing. I understand, like backstage in
No,
real life,
yeah,
they're doing
agreed.
War Games because they had the IP. In story, William Regal had fucking had it with these twats. He was fucking done. He was fucking over all of them. He was
Not
like,
sure I'd have used that phrasing, but I don't disagree.
He was like, he just gave them all a gun and said, "Have at it." Like,
Pretty
I'm
much
done with all of you.
It was Russian.
But that's what made it awesome.
It was Russian roulette in wrestling match form.
Right. So, like, I'm going out of my way to point out the fact that almost every time the beginning of it has a natural beginning. It's like, you know, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It comes about naturally. Now it's not natural anymore. Now it's just another month, another thing. But I've been saying that for years now. Hell in the Cell, fuck the Elimination Chamber. I don't need to go through we'll be here all night if I keep doing this. But the Elimination Chamber also was like everybody had a feud with each other. This was designed to end a blood feud between like 6 guys.
I'm going to disagree with Elimination Chamber just because of the purpose of the number 1 contendership for Mania. So I don't hate the idea of the Elimination Chamber being used for that.
do now. At the time, I didn't. I love the first dude. That Elimination Chamber, that first go around where they didn't really know what to do with it, and they didn't realize how much it was going to hurt. Those 6 guys.
Okay. So
what a great match that is.
Confusing the 2 Elimination Chambers, I will grant you there. The safer Elimination Chamber doesn't look as visually pleasing as the original Elimination Chamber does. However, as one of the talent that were participating in that match, I would much prefer the current chamber over the original.
That's not my point that I'm making. My point is it was the natural answer to a problem that had been building for months.
I don't disagree.
Having a pay-per-view where every year there's an Elimination Chamber my problem also is if you want to have 2 shows a year that elevate somebody, one is the Royal Rumble and the other one is Money in the Bank, I'm fine with that. But it's like you don't win the Royal Rumble, and so you go to the second chance saloon that is the Elimination Chamber, and now, it's like, how many fucking chances does it take? Like, scarcity. Listen to me. Scarcity creates value. When you give everybody all the chances ever to get into the main event of WrestleMania, it creates no value. It's why it doesn't feel special anymore. Go ahead.
My big thing about the difference between Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble is the Royal Rumble never really goes to like a surprise person, It's always somebody you expect to win the Royal Rumble. Maybe the lone difference might have been this year with Jey Uso.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, it's been the Cody Rhodeses, it's been the Roman Reigns, it's been the Steve Austins.
The second thing I wanted to tell you, and then we actually have to talk about the pay-per-view because, again, we're going to be here all night. I only wanted to do this for an hour. We're already over time. I saw TikTok, and it made me laugh hard. I didn't watch Survivor Series. I've seen some clips on TikTok.
It was a solid show.
But they showed, like, the first War Games, and it's
the women's match. Oh, the WCW one. My apologies. Continue.
Larry Zbyszko fucking hitting people with a turnbuckle, like the metal part of it.
Dangerous Alliance War Games?
I guess. Anyway, he's fucking clocking people with this piece of the ring rope. This is a turnbuckle. And then, and people are getting bloodied. And then the clip ends with Sting putting somebody in the leg lock, scorpion leg lock.
Scorpion deathlock.
And then it cuts to Jey Uso humping the top of the cage rhythmically, and in CM Punk playing air guitar with a chair.
As Uso's music is playing during the men's war game. Yeah, that pissed me off too.
The point of the TikTok, because there's a theme going around on a lot of TikToks is the loss of testosterone over the last 20 years, which I wholeheartedly agree with. So it's like you show the first War Games, and it's men who look like men with lived experience trying to murder each other in the ring because that's what War Games was. Fast forward 50 years, 30 years, however long ago this was, and it's dorks, playing grab ass in the middle of a War Games that did not feel organic. That's the word I was looking for. In a War Games that doesn't feel organic. So this is a long way of getting to your point of actually agreeing with you. I don't think doing War Games at Survivor Series every year does them any good. But the WWE now is all about gimmicks and not really about organic storytelling. Very rarely, at least. So, like, the fact that Dominic Mysterio has become what he's become is one of the few exceptions to what I'm saying. But, like, it's one exception as opposed to the rule of nothing feels organic.
So, running through the results real quick for the Survivor Series. The first match was the Women's War Games match, which saw Team Rhea Ripley defeat Team Becky Lynch. Rhea, Io, AJ Lee, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss, which the WWE has managed to do the impossible. They've turned Charlotte Flair babyface, and the fans are actually okay with it, which is stunning to me because I never thought that woman would get cheered again a day in her life.
Yeah.
So apparently Alexa Bliss is so over, she makes Charlotte Flair tolerable. Who knew?
Well, it helps that Charlotte Flair isn't acting like a see you next Tuesday.
That is a very valid point. The other couple of things that I realized throughout the course of this match is, one, I think AJ versus Becky should have been saved as a Mania match rather than given away in a mixed tag match on a B show. 2, Lash Legend is not ready for the main roster. I don't care who she's fucking.
Okay.
3, Nia Jax will never be a main event level performer to most people. She is not viable in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And 4, Io Sky is the best women's wrestler in the entire goddamn company.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Match number 2 saw Dominic Mysterio regain the Intercontinental title from John Cena with help from the returning Liv Morgan.
Yes, she sexually assaulted John Cena.
Yes, she did.
Unwanted touch is unwanted touch, Harry. John Cena didn't consent to that. Cena didn't consent to that.
Especially not
on him. Had it been the other way around, had John Cena jumped on Liv Morgan, he'd be nailed to a cross outside of the stadium in San Diego.
I would be very impressed if Liv could have caught John Cena trying to jump on her like that.
She is a dainty woman.
He also didn't consent to getting kicked in the dingus right before the finish either.
That's right. That is unconsented touch to the groin area, and
yes.
I think Liv Morgan should face punishment for sexually assaulting John Cena.
She has to kiss Dominic Mysterio. Isn't that enough?
That is her choice.
So Liv and the next match is Stephanie Vaquer retaining the Raw Women's title by defeating Nikki Bella, which, let's be real, Nikki Bella in a women's title match in 2025. Who the fuck are we kidding?
Yeah, I don't understand why this company still thinks anyone gives a fuck about Nikki Bella.
The only person who gives a fuck about Nikki Bella is Nikki Bella.
Surely not, because she keeps getting big-time prime spots.
Not who you know. It's you. Never mind. Not finishing that sentence on this podcast. Moving forward. So my theory is not Austin. We'll get to him in a second again. Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan for your women's title match for your Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania. Buy or sell?
I don't know. Liv Morgan's a hottie a cutie patootie and a hottie toddy, but and I know she's like a fan favorite, and I'm reminded of something Jim Cornette said about Liv Morgan. Actually, he said it about what's the other tart's name? Alexa Bliss. But I think it applies to Liv Morgan. Some of these girls are great theatrical performers, not great wrestlers. I'm not saying she can't do the moves. I'm not saying she's all thumbs in the ring, but I have a hard time. I mean, women tend to be small to begin with, but there are some women
Even by wrestler standards.
that are just so small. I'm like, I can't buy you seriously as any kind of a threat. Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss are two of those people. I liked Alexa Bliss when she was managing the dubstep tag team, but
Blake and Murphy.
Yeah, and I like her as sort of a sideshow freak, with the doll and everything. My kids get a kick out of her. But yeah, her and Liv are just so goddamn tiny that I'm like, I look at Stephanie Vader, who looks like a goddamn athlete.
What about somebody like a Roxanne Perez, though, under that line of thinking, though? Because Roxy's kind of petite as well, but Roxy's got a more muscular build to her than somebody like an Alexa Bliss does.
But you just had the magic word, my friend. Muscular build.
The fact that she looks like a wrestler.
I'm okay if you're short. Rey Mysterio is fucking short.
Right.
Mysterio is also jacked to the gills, and juiced
probably
up,
on the gas.
Yeah, and juiced up through his eyes. And I'm prejudiced. I like big muscly people in my big muscly sport.
I'm aware.
I'll take a giant fat ass, and I'll take I'll take an ant, giant walking tree. But I'm not going to take average-looking people looking average. And I like a nice dainty girl, especially in an adult feature. But you throw her in there with like real athletes of good size.
Jesus,
and I'm like, what am I fucking? Why is this midget lady able to take out this superior athlete? It defies. Like, people are willing to buy into the fiction of wrestling a little too much.
So your suspension of disbelief is violated.
Absolutely, on a nightly basis, and I cry every time.
I mean, fair enough. I can't argue with your own personal belief in that regard there. That is more of a personal preference there. I think Liv is one of those ones where it's very similar to that whole underhanded tactics, the lie, the cheat, the steal thing that Eddy used to do. And it makes sense since she's paired with Dominic, where I can kind of buy her more in that role. Whereas Lexi,
if she's a Ric Flair and she wins consistently that way, I would go along with it. But they give her way too much because
I can't disagree with that.
There's no internal consistency in how her matches go. Sometimes they Asian her match and they just Asian her as like a normal wrestler, which defies
logic.
I was going to say it breaks credulity. It defies credulity.
Credibility.
And then sometimes they have her doing Ric Flair shit and like, oh, okay, well, I can believe a dainty
the cowardly
girl.
heel stuff. Yeah, the cowardly heel stuff.
Right. Look, by all rights, Stephanie Vader should beat Liv Morgan, like she fucking owed her money, or they're in a lesbian relationship. Like, there's
the views and opinions of Mark Radulich.
Read the stats, Harry. Read the stats. But if Liv Morgan can like run around the ring, poke her in the eyes, like distract you have Dominic.
No, I don't
lift up his shirt, show the ref his tits, and and then she hits her over the head with a chair. Okay, then you lied and cheated to win, but you have to do that consistently, not be like one match you're Ric Flair and the next you're fucking Kurt Angle.
I don't disagree with any of that. I think one of the biggest issues is the inconsistency with which performers are booked these days.
Right. Like, again, there used to be a thing about you can't use the Sweet Chin music because that's Sean's move, and we can't have you doing it. We can't have it be like a setup to something in match 2 and the finish in match 10.
No, I agree.
And that's all out the fucking window now. And I'll tell you, as the older I get and the more curmudgeon-y I become, the more I realize that the old timers who used to argue with Vince about like, please stop forgetting this is wrestling, you psycho. And he's like, no, it's sports entertainment. No, asshole, it's wrestling. And the minute you forget that it's wrestling, the whole business just kind of crumbles. The more I'm with the old timers now, that they're not, the old ways are gone, and we're making movies, pal. But the movies are just like the real movies in real life; they suck.
You know what you remind me of right now?
Jim Cornette.
No. Did you watch Futurama?
Yes.
Do you remember the janitor from Futurama?
Not enough to know what you're referring to, but keep going.
The world I grewed up in is gone.
That is absolutely me. You see my TikTok. All right, move on.
Main event saw Team Vision, specifically Braun Breaker led, with Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar defeat Team CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, one of them, somebody, anybody, whatever, along with Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, because apparently Jimmy Uso in the main event is a thing in 2025. Good for him.
And the Vision beat the good guys because there was a mystery guy who pretended to be Seth Rollins.
Austin Theory.
Well, so I saw a TikTok that said it was John Moxley.
Not a chance.
And it's not been revealed or confirmed
Okay, so
yet.
I will say this much: based on the way that Moxley dresses in AEW, that joke is 100% funny, if wholly inaccurate.
I was going to say, isn't he locked up in a contract with AEW?
Yeah, for like another 3 years.
Right. So either there's collusion. The Forbidden Door is now a forbidden.
Doggy door.
No, revolving door.
It's
late and I don't have words tonight.
Revolving door. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the Forbidden Door has become a forbidden revolving door, and we're just going to quietly wink, wink, nudge, nudge, share talent because the old ways are gone, it's possible. But then what are they going to do with that?
So my theory, they've been rumoring Austin Theory for the Vision for quite a while, even before Rollins got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And Theory's somebody who's worked under Rollins before, but the problem with that is that with Rollins coming back probably as a babyface in order to go after Breaker, Bronson, and Heyman respectively, how does Theory's involvement tie in here? The biggest issue that I had with this is the following night, or 2 nights later, excuse me, I'm not used to Saturday pay-per-view still. So 2 nights later on Raw, we got exactly 0 follow-up to this, and that bothered me.
Yeah. I mentioned that, they're making movies, pal, and those movies suck.
I don't necessarily always agree about that, but in this particular instance, I wanted more than I got, not in a good way.
It's never in a good way. All right, let's go to Full Gear. I did not watch this either.
Well, just quick and dirty Full Gear, the major happenings from Full Gear here. First of all, what are your thoughts on Samoa Joe being the AEW heavyweight champion again?
I like Samoa Joe.
Joe's one of those throwback guys when it comes to pro wrestling where everything he does looks believable.
There was a guy, I don't know if you remember,
and I think that helps him. The problem is,
are you delayed again?
Go ahead. You tell your story. I'll be right back.
There was a guy in the UFC and in Pride called Mark Hunt. And for a while in the UFC, he kind of went on a tear where he was knocking guys out. But it wasn't just knocking guys out. He was doing like walk-away knockouts. Like he'd hit a guy and then just turn around and walk to his corner because he knew the fight was over. And it was. So hashtag Mark Hunt decides was a thing for a while. I don't remember why I brought that up. And Harry's gone, so I can't be like, what were we just talking about? But something apparently going on in pro wrestling today reminds me of Mark Hunt deciding. Oh, Samoa Joe. That's what it was. Gosh, my brain tonight. So, like, Samoa Joe kind of has that Mark Hunt decides aura about him. And more than that, what makes me laugh about Samoa Joe are the compilations I see on TikTok of him just walking away from guys as they as they fall, go off
the walk away crossbody.
Yeah. Every time I watch that, I think of Mark Hunt decides, and it cracks me up every time. I love Samoa Joe. I've always loved Samoa Joe. I can't say like, oh, I wish he'd done better in the WWE. They gave him everything. They gave him matches with Brock Lesnar. They put him in the main event, the title scene. They treated him like a real threat. I don't know what more they were supposed to do with him.
The issue with Joe in the WWE is his health became a rather consistent reoccurring theme, and thus ended his run there. He's been a little bit more fortunate with regards to injuries in AEW, and I think that Samoa Joe's one of those guys who has a viable reputation as a company carrier. He was an multiple-time NXT champion, a multiple-time TNA champion. He is was the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion until that title was usurped a couple of years back by Jay Lethal.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that I wish they had done with Mark Hunt while he was still in the WWE, and it might have been a matter of
Samoa Joe,
timing.
you mean?
Yeah, Samoa Joe, was there really should have been like that moment where the bloodline is like, we are on top of the world, we are unstoppable. Roman Reigns is, a million-day champion. And like, who can stop this? Like we are the kings of the WWE, and out walks, it's like, is there a better Samoan than me? And out walks fucking Samoa Joe. Like, I do not acknowledge you. You are not my king.
Which is ironic. Which reminds me of the old jokes.
Mm-hmm.
The side-by-side pictures of Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. Samoa Joe, Samoan Joseph.
But yeah, like, a Roman Reigns going, I am the tribal chief, acknowledge me. And Samoa Joe walks out, I acknowledge nobody. and beats Roman Reigns like he's his prison bitch.
I want to say that
a Samoa Joe trashing the entire bloodline, just hanging fucking Sami Zayn, dismembering the Usos.
Oh, poor Sammy.
fucking disemboweling Solo Sikoa, and then finally getting to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns barely getting out of that match with his life. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I've ejaculated today, but it's just one more now.
I could do without knowing of your masturbatory habits, sir.
It wasn't all masturbation, I'll tell you that right now.
You've heard of it. Never mind. Not going to make that joke on air.
Moving on.
Yes. Next part of this here, the reuniting of the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. How much life does this have?
I haven't watched the AEW product in so long. I don't know. I think you told me the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega don't really hold any real power anymore in the company.
Not anymore, no.
Yeah, so I don't know how much longer the Young Bucks. First of all, the Young Bucks now look like the middle-aged Bucks.
They're creeping up on the senior citizen Bucks. They move a little bit better than the Hardys do at this point, but not much.
Right. Which means Kenny Omega has got to be a senior citizen at this point. I don't know how much any of these have, how many years any of them have left in this business.
Well, Omega's mid-40s now, and he's got all those years of New Japan wear and tear on him, which I think hurt his value long term. Plus the diverticulitis, which is something he's going to be dealing with for the rest of his life.
Not to mention the Chinese New Year's match with Jon Moxley.
Oh God, don't remind me of that disaster.
So Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, I think, are still friends. So I would imagine this will go. They will do this for as long as they enjoy being around each other.
One other thing here would be the decision to put the tag titles back on FTR, taking them off of Brodito. I think this was a mistake, and the reason I say that is because I think Brodito has been arguably one of the best acts in the tag division in any company in 2025, and they just magically locked into some amazing chemistry between Brody King and Bandito in this tag team. I saw you giving me the look.
Any of this. What happened to the Acclaim?
Still
together.
They technically are kind of, sort of ish. They're doing a reunion thing, but it's a forced reunion thing. It's clusterfucky.
Is all I care about is Max Caster still coming out and rapping, or no?
Not to my knowledge recently.
There's no reason for me to ever watch AEW then.
Aw, poor Max Caster.
Yeah, exactly. What are your other thoughts about Full Gear before we move on?
I can think of two reasons. I can think of two reasons to watch AEW, and her name is Mina Shirakawa.
Wonderful. All right, let's talk about John.
Gimmick infringement. That's right. I don't have any other for.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a purr, do it right, and if you can't do a purr, do a Popeye. The funniest thing in the world is when my son, who has a hard time purring, so he gives people the full Popeye. So he'll be talking about, he'll make some sort of like sexist chauvinist remark because he's my kid, and then he'll just go, I'm like, oh, that's my boy.
That checks out.
Yeah, I can see the thought bubble above his sister's head with the gun. But moving on. So let's talk about Cena's last stand here. So Cena got beat by the next big thing, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I guess there's a tournament for him to have his last match on Saturday Night Live in December.
Saturday night's main event, and yeah, whoever at the finals of the last time
Saturday Night Live.
You did.
Okay.
That's why I started laughing.
Okay.
The finals for the last time is now tournament have come down to Gunther versus LA Knight. The match will happen this Friday. We record right now on Wednesday night as we're doing this. And the match will happen this Friday on SmackDown. And then the match between Cena and whomever wins the tournament, most likely Gunther, in my opinion, will be next Saturday night, December 13th, at the last SNME of the year.
And that's it. Then Cena's done, right?
Correct.
What's the December pay-per-view?
There isn't one.
Oh, it's between now and
Rumble's the next pay-per-view.
The Rumble's the next. Okay. Is that 2 nights or is that 1 night?
2. No, 1 because it's in Saudi.
Okay. So the next 2-night thing is WrestleMania, and then there's something else that's 2 nights, isn't it? Besides, it's like WrestleMania, SummerSlam. Something else went to 2 nights.
There was talk of making Money in the Bank 2 nights.
Ugh. So right now, Royal Rumble is still just 1 night, but it's in Saudi Arabia. Then we have whatever happens in February.
Chamber, which is in Chicago.
Then we have Mania in Vegas.
Vegas, correct.
Which is 2 nights. Then whatever happens in May and June. And then August is SummerSlam, and that's 2 nights.
Correct.
Okay. So Gunther or LA Knight? Goobas or Raisinets? That is the eternal question. And you got to ask yourself, if this is going to be John Cena's last match, he's probably going to go out on his back.
Most likely.
And so he's got to put a guy over. LA Knight doesn't need it. So I assume it's going to be Gunther, and Gunther's going to beat him.
See, I would disagree. I would say LA Knight needs it more than Gunther does because Gunther's just coming off of retiring Goldberg a couple of months ago.
Have they capitalized that in any way?
Well, Gunther was the heavyweight champion again after the Goldberg match, but then he got hurt in the match with Punk at SummerSlam. He broke his nose.
I thought LA Knight was also on his way out. Like he was getting to be done with wrestling because he's 100 years old. Rumors and speculation. LA Knight isn't anywhere near done. Then maybe LA Knight just because he's a fan favorite and people, it's kind of a Hogan Warrior thing, like pass the torch to a guy who, my only hesitation with that though is it feels like the sell by date on LA Knight has passed as a top company guy. I don't disagree with that. So maybe he beats Cena and that gives everybody kind of a happy moment. Like, oh look, you put over that young whippersnapper, that up and comer, LA Knight. And LA Knight can now dine out on the fact that he beat Cena in Cena's last match. So there is an alternative theory that has come to light as well, that Cena wins his final match, they're in the ring celebrating it, and then they use this opportunity to turn Cody Rhodes heel. By having Cena take Cody. I remember the old ways. The old ways was you went out on your back. If Hogan can put the Warrior over, John Cena can put over LA Knight. What the fuck are we talking about? Well, my theory is this would be a way to come full circle from the Cena turn. Yes, it would be a way to come full circle from the Cena turn back at Elimination Chamber earlier this year. The rumor that I've heard, and I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, is we're heading towards Cody Roman 3 at WrestleMania next year because God forbid we see that fucking again. I'm not going to watch WrestleMania if that's the case. I can't do a third one of these. Cody beating him and having in Philadelphia and having the entire roster run out like it was an ECW opening medley
or a Lex Luger count-out victory
was the best moment in wrestling in the last 20 years. It was amazing. I Harry Broadhurst, I had been naked swimming that night, and I had a lovely evening naked swimming. But I didn't think my evening could get any better until I saw that as I was driving home from Pasco County.
I'm not touching that one.
That's what she said. Listen,
Giggity.
but my point is that we've done this. He what was it? Ended the story, completed the story, wrote the story.
Finished the story.
Finished the story. I was gonna get there eventually. Finished.
No, you weren't.
He finished the story. I hate this because it's the same thing in movies now too. We have a definitive conclusion to things, and then they're like, "Well, it made money, so unfinish it." Why?
Well, this would be with Cody as a heel, though.
Who gives a fuck?
I don't disagree with you. I'm against it too, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Unless Cody Rhodes wins with the power of the first interracial child, then I don't really want to hear it.
Oh.
So your sound is
anyways
so bad. I could see that you're just like losing patience, but I couldn't hear a word you said.
It's the internet connection over here. Shit, my weather's gotten kind of rough. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, now I can hear you. But yes, unless Cody Rhodes wins with the power of the first interracial child, I don't see. I'm not interested in Cody Rhodes heel or face or anything against Roman Reigns. Just not.
All right, real quick before we wrap up the book on the stories before the Era of Honor begins here. Favorite John Cena memory?
Ooh. It is hard, giggity, for me to pick something other than his surprise return at the Rumble.
2008 Rumble was going to be where I would go with that as well. Correct.
Yeah,
I think that's the definitive answer.
Yeah, I remember being in a bar, and because again, he was supposed to be out for so long, you know,
because he had just torn his bicep like right before No Mercy the previous year.
Right. So he was supposed to be out for forever and a day. There was no chatter about him coming back. Nobody, you know, I remember being in the bar that night. Like you talk about, like there's never any surprises in the Royal Rumble. Nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expected John Cena. Everybody was like, we already know who's going to win this. I think like in 2008 was probably like Shawn Michaels or some shit. And then he walked out. And like, you got to remember, the entirety of John Cena's career has always been polarizing. He is one of the most polarizing guys in wrestling. Half the crowd hates him and wants him dead. The other half of the crowd loves him to death. And there are few times in the history of John Cena where everybody was on the same page with his appearance and what he was doing. When he showed up at the Garden, every single neckbeard in the bar and their children and the people who came with their hands wrapped with a title on their title to peel and eat shrimp, all fucking cheered like women. It was fantastic. The only other thing I can think of is, and it's more of a CM Punk memory than a John Cena one, but CM Punk beating John Cena at Money in the Bank.
2011.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments in wrestling, let alone John Cena.
So for me, I agree with you. I think the definitive moment is the 2008 Rumble return, and it's hard to argue against that. For me, my other Cena definitive moment is One Night Stand in 2005 and 2006.
Yeah.
The Cena Van Dam match at One Night Stand.
Can I tell you that I don't like a lot of people, but I genuinely think John Cena has very high emotional intelligence. I have never seen anyone in the position that he was put in. And I don't just mean in wrestling. I mean, like, a room full of people hate your fucking guts, and if they'd had a weapon and the ability to do so, they'd have killed you. Like, a room full of people who you cannot, no matter what you do, make happy. Mm-hmm. A room full of people who would have been okay if you had just left and there had been no match. Like, and John Cena, like, you have seen people get booed in wrestling and them not handle it well. Whatever, like, like they're supposed to be a good guy, but like The
Brock-
Rock, for example. I would think like one of the better examples of this is how poorly The Rock handled it when he was Rocky Maivia.
Oh, the
And he
Die
was
Rocky Die chant.
Yeah, and he was getting booed out of the fucking arena. And he was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself. And I don't mean like when he finally like did the Nation of Domination, because at that point he knew what he absolutely was handling it the best way. But that window of time between him wrestling the Sultan and the Nation of Domination, where he doesn't know what to do with these people, and he's like, I don't know how to make them happy. Like John Cena at One Night Stand was the opposite of that. He had those motherfuckers in the palm of his hand, and they were wild animals. There was no taming these people, and John Cena somehow was able to do it, and he seemed genuinely pleased with himself. Like, this is marvelous.
Yeah, for me, the series, the idea that I got from that there was, if you remember the Brock Goldberg match at WrestleMania 20, and both Brock and Goldberg just having no idea how to respond to the crowd reaction there, where they completely turned on both of them right at the start of the match. Right. You knew that crowd was going to be super pro Van Dam, super anti Cena, and not only was Cena ready for it, Cena played into it immediately, getting in the faces, throwing the T-shirt into the crowd anyways. And then when they threw the shirt back, he threw the shirt to somebody else. He played into that match in order to give Van Dam that moment.
John Cena is the anti-Bret Hart. He knows exactly what business he's in. It's show business, baby. You know, and he milked that for all it was worth. It was perfect. That's actually one of my favorite matches in the history of wrestling. Like, I know I'm the guy that likes, you know, Warrior Hogan, but I think Van Dam's John Cena was a real happening. What a wonderful moment in pro wrestling. Like I talked before about things being organic and feeling real, and, you know, convincing you that this complete farce, this act,
the suspension of disbelief,
is a real thing. That was one of those nights. The only other night that made me even that like level of emotional was Daniel Bryan winning the triple threat and subsequently the championship, because again,
30.
Yeah, they like you know, really quick, and then we can get into the Era of Honor. I remember getting into a fight with one of my podcast buddies about this. I loved Occupy Raw. What a moment that was. And you have to understand like the nature of protesting and how it works and why it works when it does work. When you are able to disrupt the the flowing of business, when you are able to force institutions to pay attention to you and to maybe change, or you're going to continue to take the institution hostage, like that is kind of the point of protesting is to bring shame to institutions so that change will be affected. The Occupy Wall Street protests were to bring shame to the financial districts because of what happened in 2008. So Daniel Bryan being fucked every which way but loose by the institution, by the company, by Vince McMahon and Triple H,
the authority,
and him going, I'm going to take your show hostage by having a bunch of fans who we cannot harm. It's one thing when they jump the rail and Kevin Nash kicks him in the face. It's a whole other thing when I say they can come in because I work here. So I'm going to lift the ring ropes and I'm going to be like, everyone come to me. Everyone, on me. And they do. And now and Triple H played it so good. The few moments, again, it's just like the Cactus Jack thing. Triple H just like fucking beside himself. like we have to have a show. Get out of there. and Daniel Bryan, no. I'll sit here all night. I don't give a fuck. And just like 100 people in the goddamn ring, licking the ring ropes or whatever.
100 Eugenes in the ring, apparently.
And Triple H is like, we have to have a show. I can't let this go on. I'm fucked. What am I supposed? Because I can't send the cops in there. And that's like, again, the beauty of protesting, the beauty of like the Occupy movement, whether I agreed with it or not. Gandhi, like doing what he does in India, bring shame to the institution because anything you did to him was going to make you look bad.
Right.
You know, anything Triple H did that night that hurt those fans, that hurt Daniel Bryan, was only going to make him look bad, and he couldn't take it. They couldn't afford it.
There's no way to save face there.
Yeah, it's a brilliant moment in pro wrestling. And I remember talking to one of my podcasts, but one of the guys in the Casual Heroes, he was like, the Occupy Raw thing was stupid. I don't understand why. And I'm like, how do you not understand the psychology of protest and what its purpose is? Like, it's one of those weird things where it was like 100% apparent to me, and how somebody else completely missed it. And like, it's like, how did you miss this? But yeah, going back, you asked me about John Cena. John Cena, Rob Van Dam is one of those like Occupy Raw moments for me, where like okay, I feel like I'm watching some real shit. I know I'm not, but I don't care.
So there was a convention in Philadelphia a couple of years back. I think it was called Excite or something like that. Excite Philadelphia. And if you're familiar with Shikara, obviously not viewed in the best of ways these days, but back then Shikara was like a really big fucking thing on the independent circuit. And their owner, Mike Quackenbush, was a speaker at this convention, at the Excite Philly convention. And he talked about the art of professional wrestling. And there's a quote that Quack gave at that convention that's always resonated with me. To those who get it, no explanation is necessary. To those who don't, no explanation will do.
Yeah, you've said that quite a number of times on here. I've actually quoted you. Quoting Mike Quackenbush. All right, can we get into the Era of Honor?
We can. And speaking of Daniel Bryan Danielson, he is in the main event of this particular show. I'm about to make you feel real old, Mark Radulich. You ready? I wasn't an adult when this show happened. I was only 17.
She's only 17. Harry 17.
Was that a really bad Stevie Nicks?
That was Winger. Putz.
Oh, Edge is 17.
It's just 17. She's only 17.
Never heard
17. It. I hate you. All right.
I don't listen to a ton of 80s music, man.
Ugh. Everything about you upsets me.
I'm not surprised. And yet somehow I'm the least offensive of the people you do wrestling shows with.
Let me tell you, no one's watching this for my take on wrestling.
Okay, that's not entirely true. I do like Chris Bailey.
You don't do podcasts no more.
Aww.
Or at least not with me.
Oh, shade.
Alrighty, so the Era of Honor begins. I'm just going to go through. I want to do this differently because I want to go through, and let me do this my way. Because a couple of things I want to do here. I want to go through the results, just the entirety of the results, and then just kind of talk about the show in its entirety, because there's no point in doing match reviews for a 20-some-odd-year-old show.
I don't disagree with that. Real quick, before we go any further, though, fuck Rob Feinstein.
So we had the hit squad of Mafia and Monster Mac defeating the Christopher Street Connection, which I laughed hard at.
I was okay. So real quick, I just have to say.
No, wait, no. Even real quicker. So there's a YouTube
I knew
channel.
you would love the Christopher Street Connection. I 100%
Let me
saw
get
that coming.
there. Let me take my hand. Let me take you on a very queer journey.
That's shocker.
So there's a YouTube channel called Ban Vinyl. I'm obsessed with this YouTube channel. See the same gag, no pun intended, over and over again. It is AI. It is dirty AI songs, mostly about anal sex, done in different genres, made to look like band vinyl, like vinyl that was recorded but never released, because you can't release a song called "One in My Mouth and Two in My Ass." That's an actual name of a song. This guy's on Spotify, by the way. So
AI's taking over.
So I make AI music. I have two bands. One is called Fra Diavolo. The other one is called the Passive Aggressive Pansexual Peanut Butters. And Fra Diavolo is my metal band that kind of does everything through food metaphor. And then the Passive Aggressive Pansexual Peanut Butters started out as just jazz and blues, and I've kind of gone all over the place with it. It's basically anything but metal.
You're Maynard.
Yeah. So I decided to pay tribute to the band Vinyl Guy. I took 5 of his songs, 2 of which from his fake band called Dragon Shaft, and then 3 of his other ones that were not
Dragon Shaft.
That were not so dirty. That were not so quite so dirty titled, because I didn't feel like having to rename things constantly. So I just realized that this is out today, and what I did was I paid tribute to not just the band Vinyl Guy, but also the match between Paro and Effie,
Last Daddy Standing.
Last Daddy Standing. And so I decided that I was going to cover 5 of his songs and put it on an EP called Last Daddy Standing. Would you like to see the album cover? I'll take that as a yes.
My eyes are about to be violated. I am an unwilling participant in this gag. Let the record state.
What I'm hearing is that you're giving consent.
Go ahead.
Let me see where I gotta find it. Where the fuck is it?
Well, while he does that, you know what my favorite part of the Christopher Street Connection thing was?
What's that? By the way, wait, hang on. So my son and I are watching that together, and we're laughing because they're just like so homophobic sounding. And in 2025, hearing these people go, "He kissed a man! It's the worst thing ever!" You're like, oh, that is not aging well at all.
My favorite part about the Christopher Street Connection is the fact that their manager was Alice in Danger.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. This is the album cover of the Last Daddies Standing.
I am waiting for a screen share that hasn't came yet.
You should be seeing it now.
It's popping up now.
Good.
That's what she said.
Are you going to react at all?
I'm waiting for it to load. Jesus Christ.
So when I told ChatGPT to do the album cover, I was like, I would like to pay tribute to the Last Daddy Standing death match between Paro and Effie. And I was like, so what I really want this album cover to be is like, I don't want you to use like real faces or anything, but I want you to kind of give off like a proud gay wrestler image and take the visage of Paro, Odinson, and Effie and use that. And this is what it came up with.
It looks like something from kink.com. I feel violated.
Would you like to know the names of the songs that I covered? Sure you would. I will share them with you.
I question why I continue to do this podcast sometimes.
No, you don't. Track 1, I'll Spit on Your Meat. And if you're wondering what the chorus of I'll Spit on Your Meat is I will spit on your meat and then use my feet. This is a common phrase in my house, by the way. By my kids who are quickly losing patience with my obsession with this sort of thing.
Same.
Speaking of losing patience with me, the next track is called Gently Up My Shitter.
At least it's gently.
I do enjoy a good love song.
That's your ballad.
Yes. The next one is called Ram That Donut.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's not so much a ballad.
The next one is called Sloppy Mouth. And in our grand finale of our 5-track EP, where I covered band vinyl songs, is One in My Mouth and Two in My Ass.
Which explains the album cover.
Harry, I know you don't listen to music or anything, but I need you to go on Spotify and I need you to listen to The Last Daddy Standing. I
Is
need
it
you
on
to-
YouTube as well?
Yes. Here, I hang on. Let me help you.
I sense a YouTube link forthcoming that I'm going to regret clicking on
Hang on.
because I use YouTube Music. I don't use Spotify.
Yeah, I think everything that I do
Gets dual posted.
gets dual posted to YouTube. Hang on.
So I was listening to some music earlier, and then I found out one of the bands that the song that I liked was an AI song, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That is all AI. That is what all YouTube has become, is AI music. Like my entire feed is now AI music.
I was listening to I've been listening to a lot of like Sleep Token lately, a lot of like Silent Theory, a lot of Another Day Dawns. I had a song pop up called No More Hiding by Crowning Flame. And the name of the band should have given away the fact that it wasn't a real band, but the song fucking slapped. And I'm like, who the fuck are these? And I go to look them up and I found out it's an AI. I'm like, what? These motherfuckers. I mean, you're pro AI music, clearly, but for somebody that doesn't do a ton of AI related stuff, who doesn't get involved in the whole the Genesis and Skynet taking over all of us.
I'm rooting for the robots, Harry.
I mean, at this point, it's hard not to, because the humans suck in general.
You are not whistling Dixie. Oh my God, I can't fucking.
All right. Well, while he does that, shall I go over the results from ROH's era?
Go ahead, because I care more about this than that. Go ahead.
I'm absolutely not surprised. Give me a second. Let me pull up the results on my phone here. But real quick here, going back to the Christopher Street connection. Yeah, this was one of those things that ROH threw out in the very first match. Obviously, it ages very poorly. But
oh my God, the shit they were saying, dude.
The thing about it was it was a way for ROH to make it clear that they were going to be about the violence of professional wrestling, the art of professional wrestling, and not sports entertainment, as they claimed with the Christopher Street connection, who were Buffy and Mace, which, yeah, I mean, make your own jokes about Buffy. I feel like that was a rib on Bagwell somehow. I'm not sure where, but it was definitely a rib on him. And if it wasn't, it should have been, because fuck that dude.
All right, we're about ready to abandon this, and maybe I'll just find it and give it to you later. But
that's what she said.
What's the rest of the results, real quick?
I'm pulling them up right now. I had to run over to Cage Match because I wasn't ready to do this. All right, here we go. So the actual version of the show that starts on Honor Club, which is another place you can watch this, is Amazing Red defeating Jay Briscoe. May Jay rest in peace, obviously. Xavier, the Black Nature Boy, defeats the Black Nature Boy, Scoot Andrews. You know, it's sad to see looking back to the show. It's only 20 years old, and guys in two by disqualification because of a rubber chicken. I'm sure we'll talk about that here momentarily.
One sec. You use YouTube Music, right?
Correct.
Okay, hang on.
Quiet Storm wins a 6-way elimination match against the rest of Mikey Whipwreck's students: Brian XL, Chris Devine, the Maximos, and the Amazing Red. Prince Nana defeats Talboy, Eric Tuttle. Aikika, Loa, and Spanky defeat Michael Shane and Oz. Spanky pins Oz. Oh, Lord. Something's loading. Something's loading, and I don't want it to. Well, yeah, sure enough, there it is.
Yeah, buddy. Get it.
The sad thing is I'm going to be contractually obligated to listen to this because of the podcast, because I know you're going to start the next show asking me what I thought.
That's all I'm going to talk about.
I
am sending you the link in Facebook Messenger.
You might want to stop sharing your screen.
Oh, whoopsie.
IWA Puerto Rico Intercontinental title. See Super Crazy defeat Eddy Guerrero. The title was vacant. In the main event, the picture you see in the background, Low Key defeats the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and Christopher Daniels in the match that made ROH what it would become. All right. So while you're in the process of sending that there, let's go ahead and talk about a few of the matches here real quick.
Well, I'm going to now I can actually talk about the whole thing. One, like I said, listening to them talk about the Christopher Street connection, I was like, for what's supposed to be like we're the serious people, we are trying to put the wrestling back in wrestling, awfully homophobic. Like,
if I'm not mistaken, commentary for this show is Eric Gargiulo and Steve Carino.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe.
So a couple of just takes right off the bat. It opened with, after that match, like I think the official one was
Red versus Briscoe.
Was Briscoe. And you got to remember, when I got into Ring of Honor, they were like the Toothless Briscoes.
Right.
One of them
Dem
looked
boys.
like he had done, Dem Boys. One of them looked like he had done way too much meth. And the other one, and the other one was if you crossed John Moxley with a coyote, you would,
that was Jay with the wild ass hair.
So, so I'm watching this. I'm watching Jay Briscoe, and I'm like, my God! First of all, what a baby face he has. Like,
yes.
I don't mean like a good guy. I mean like out his mama's womb baby face. What a young fella.
Yeah. To be fair, at this particular show, I'm pretty sure Jay Briscoe is 18 years old.
He looks every bit of 18, possibly.
I agree with that. The reason Mark Briscoe was not at ringside for this match is because at this point, Mark Briscoe is 16 years old and thus not allowed ringside by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission.
Yeah, that is a young child in that ring. And then I was talking to my son about this because you and I are, because we've done some Hog, House of Glory, for those like, wait, what?
Giggity.
So we've watched, modern day Amazing Red.
Right.
And it was fun to see like Amazing Red, like at his like peak, young Amazing Red when he was actually amazing.
Oh no, Red was the preeminent high flyer in this time frame. Yeah. Like he was the guy for the spiral tap that AJ Styles would become popular for. That spinning corkscrew splash. Red invented it as the Red. Red
he's one of these guys that like a major influence on modern day wrestling that nobody knows.
I absolutely agree with that sentiment here. And I think you could argue the same thing for Jose and Joel around this time as well. The Spanish Fly became one of the moves in pro wrestling. The Spanish Fly is maybe the original version of what the Canadian Destroyer became. It was a move in professional wrestling.
So I want to read something to you.
The double
Go ahead, sorry.
backflip Uranagi off of the top rope.
So when you pitched this idea to me,
you're good. I'm done.
Part of the reason why I didn't fight you on it was I wanted to see how many people on this show made it to the big time and how many are still on there, and whose name changed and who went to NXT. So I threw it in the chat GPT, and here's what it said: hidden success stories from the undercard. Spanky, who is Brian Kendrick. And I was like, I'm looking at him and I'm just like, isn't that Brian Kendrick? And I had to look it up. I'm like, oh yeah, Spanky.
Yes.
Brian Kendrick. We just talked about Amazing Red. Jose and Joel Maxima, the SAT, TNA, AEW adjacent indie legends. Innovators of the Spanish Fly, which is what you were just talking about. Homicide I recognize from him not being able to get out of the cage and when went to Monday night.
The 1/4/10 episode of Impact. Yes, I remember that.
Prince Nana, who's currently in AEW, is the manager of the Embassy and Ring of Honor. Moved to AEW. I guess he's still a manager there now.
With Swerve Strickland.
Mid-level names who didn't break out. Okay, these guys did not get signed by WWE, AEW, TNA, or New Japan in any meaningful long-term way. The Hit Squad, Christopher Street Connection, Xavier, Scoot Andrews, Boogie Nights, Boogaloo, Quiet Storm, Brian XL, Chris Devine, Ikaika Loa, Oz, Michael Shane, and Prince Nana's opponent, Towel Boy Eric Tuttle.
So one of those is incorrect.
Okay.
Michael Shane actually did have a run in TNA as Maverick Matt Bentley.
Okay, well,
he
apparently was so lacking in impact that the AI didn't catch it.
Well, Michael Shane's biggest claim to fame is that he's Shawn Michaels' cousin.
Yeah, I said what I said. So that was that was one of the things I thought about as I was watching this. Is I think in the this is a part of wrestling history. It's good to go back and look at this thing. I think it has its place. In these people will go on to define wrestling as we know it. Not so much.
I disagree. I think you need to look no further than the main event for that.
I mean,
and arguably,
Bryan Danielson, yes, but I mean, Christopher Daniels is a big part of TNA, but that's as far as he's ever going to go. And low key doesn't go any further than TNA. The only guy that comes out of this of any real note, a guy, the guy that made the biggest impact on wrestling that comes out of this card is Bryan Danielson, and he's already Bryan Danielson when this card happens.
See, I would argue. I would argue
a big deal from Dragon Gate.
I would argue Dragon Gate's not a thing yet, and it's actually barely a thing. Excuse me, at this point in 2002.
Okay, maybe I have it backwards then, but my point still stands that Bryan Danielson's the only person to come out of this card who has a meaningful impact on mainstream wrestling.
See, I think Daniels' influence on pro wrestling is underrated. And let's not forget he was also one half of the first AEW Tag Team Champions with SCU.
Ugh, okay. By that point, Christopher Daniels was 100.
I don't disagree with that. This was still relatively young Christopher Daniels. And in my opinion, top to bottom on the show, Daniels is the best wrestler on this entire show.
Right. But I think what I'm trying to say is, I think it's an interesting show to watch, but it just reminded me how many guys were, because I remember being a wrestling fan at this time, but talking to other wrestling fans, reading magazines, being on the web, going on, going in chat rooms. There were so many guys on the indie scene that, it was any day now they were going to be in the WWE, and they never.
Yeah,
do.
I agree with that.
Or they have a dark match or something, and then they're never heard from again.
I'll agree with that. I think there are a lot of people here who maybe at one time might have been pegged as the next big thing in pro wrestling and never panned out there. Right. But I think that the hit to miss ratio for the card in general is a lot better than maybe a lot of people might think it would be. There are people who completely flamed out. Don't get me wrong. I will not sit here and deny that. There are certain people who honestly were probably out of wrestling within the span of the next calendar year or two right after this show happened. But if you look at the legacy of independent professional wrestling, there are legit independent professional wrestling legends on this show that were still active even to this day, and some who just recently stepped. Take a look at a guy like Homicide, for example, who just stepped away from the business.
And I'm not counting Eddy Guerrero because this was his apology tour.
Right. This was Eddy getting fired from the WWE for drunk driving before coming back a couple of months after this show. Yes.
So here's my kind of general takeaway, and I'll give you the last word on this, and we'll start to close out. One, if you really like pro wrestling, this was fun to watch. Two, Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor gets its identity later on for what it's going to be. It's not evident on this show. Like Ring of Honor being we're putting the wrestling back in wrestling.
The main
that is not evident on maybe, but that's more having to do with the competitors in it than anything else.
Yes,
I'm not getting this is kind of almost like a work shoot format from which brings me to my next point. If you didn't tell me what this was and just said watch this show and I didn't know dates or anything else about wrestling, you could have convinced me this was GCW. Not because there was like a whole lot of death matches, but it's just this. It's funny you wanted me to watch this because my takeaway from it was up until maybe the last 2 or 3 matches, this just seems like any other indie card you've ever made me watch. Okay,
so that's actually kind of going to be the point that I'm going to raise as my final point here, in that this is the era of super card ROH, super indie ROH, before ROH becomes a thing, where you get storylines starting to take over. You get the Road to the Title show. Like the Road to the Title show from Ring of Honor is one of the best independent wrestling shows ever. It's the one that has the Matrix sequence match between Amazing Red and Low Key on it.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the show where ROH develops the reputation that it gets as the go-to indie for professional wrestling, rather than whatever sports entertainment you want to associate with the business at that time. ROH becomes the alternative for indie fans with the shows like Road to the Title, and then more specifically the following month at Crowning a Champion, where they have the 4-way 60-minute Iron Man match between Doug Williams, Low Key, Spanky, and Christopher Daniels.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. So I don't know if you know this person, but we have somebody watching LP NYC. Harry's match information recall is unmatched. Yes, because that's all he does.
Hi, Liz Puglisi. How you doing? Thanks for watching.
Just hangs out in his bathrobe eating beans all day watching wrestling.
Can I take a quick moment before we wrap up here to extend an issue of gratitude real quick?
Sure.
To the American Red Cross and to the United Way for all their support for the victims of the explosion in Austintown, Ohio. The only reason I say that is my stepdad was personally involved in that. He is thankfully okay. He is doing well. He's in a rehab center now. He's going to be okay. But to all of the people involved there, I just wanted to say thank you guys for all your efforts in order to help the displaced residents, as well as to help those that found themselves with injuries and as issues from it. Their scary situation that could have been worse, that you could have done a fantastic job in order to make better around here in the area where I call home.
All right. Well, that is it for this episode of the IndySiders. Love to the Red Cross and stepdaddy. I'm guessing you know who this person is.
That's Liz Puglisi. She used to be part of the Raw Reaction.
Gotcha. All right. I don't know when we're doing this again. Probably the end of December, maybe sometime in the middle of January. I will talk to Harry when this is over. For big sexy Harry Broadhurst, I'm a dirty pervert. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Peace out, everyone.